Håkon, maybe a special message for you. We are about to hire a consultancy to build a more, more agile organization. With better structures, processes, and so on. Right. Updates on this are coming soon, but special thanks, Håkon. You always encouraged us in doing this, we will accomplish that mission, I guess, in the next 1 or 2 weeks. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So overall, the company is in good shape. Stan, you asked kindly, how's the company doing? So economically, we are absolutely healthy, ready to grow, ready to invest. So we're good to go and to climb the mountain to stay in that picture. So maybe we can have a short look at please, we start with the cover slide. And because maybe the one before with the cover.
Right.
Because I quickly want to mention that since our organization has grown, you see all that colorful companies, this blue Lansing Media, this blue Rubens, this green Medienhaus-Bauer, this, what is it, shiny red Temming Media. Well, soon we will use just one umbrella brand, and it will be Lansing, just Lansing. I imagine you are familiar with such processes, Stein and Håkon. Just think of Mediahus, which is, Mediahus Aachen, Mediahus Belgium, whatever. We like our brands, but we are getting confused more and more since our company grows, and it looks like a circus as well. So it's all that colors. That's too much. So in April we will introduce this new umbrella brand. It will only be Lansing. That doesn't mean that the B2C brands won't exist anymore. Ruhrnachrichten, Recklinghäuser Zeitung, and so on. All the newspaper titles, of course, will be published as usual. So, okay, thank you, Philip. Maybe we have a quick look at the next step. So, well, this was meant to be our lineup for today. Maybe you noticed that that all of our female members are unavailable today. So Lana has an important meeting, I think at Tamedia.
I thought the important meeting was this one.
Yeah, but there's something urgent, urgent going on. I'm not quite sure, but of course, we will send her some notes of our meeting today. Antonia, who is our publishing director at Medienhaus-Bauer, is slightly under the weather today. Yeah, let's put it like this, and cannot join us as planned. And Johanna isn't with us today. Well, she's not only a great moderator, as we experienced, but she's also great at skiing and is practicing her skills right now.
That's good.
On the slopes, which is well deserved. So we are running out of females, but
and the guy in the center is missing.
The guy in the center is missing.
Upper center is missing.
Yeah, of course. Greg. We are still waiting for Greg, and I guess he will join in later, maybe in the next 10 or 20 minutes, since he's in Oslo right now. Let's have a look at the agenda. So just one adjustment. We will skip the e-paper part since Antonia is missing. Yeah, right. And she's in charge of our e-paper spot. So that's maybe the one and only adjustment. Let's have a quick look at our company objectives. You have heard this at the end of last year already. They are largely unchanged from 2025, and maybe that's the one and only remark I got regarding that slide. Let's look at our subscription growth that we are aiming for in 2026. So Markus, Philip, and Jens, put our goals in numbers. So we're going to grow to 40,000 plus subscribers till the end of 26, and to 42,000 e-paper subscribers, and we see all the revenue that we are aiming for, and also some engagement numbers we are aiming for. So, but that's the major plan. Those are the milestones we want to reach within this year, and of course they are bold, as you are used to when we
bold as hell
when we talk to each other. Okay. Let's have a quick look at our squads. We just want to give you a squad overview. We set up right now 4 squads. The 5th squad is in the making, I would say. There's one basic principle. all the squads combine product, content, data, marketing, and tech, and they work autonomously. By the way, there is also a clear code of conduct. When you're part of a squad, for example, you are focused by 100% on your task, and no white noise, large autonomy, and we want to build autonomous teams that really can decide and act in their markets. There's this plus squad or P or C squad, which is also central for our today's discussion. Then we set up this e-paper squad. Our B2B colleagues, just to have a look next to our own markets, are involved in the storytelling squad, and they also plan this innovation squad, which is, I think, scheduled to start in May. And then there is one squad, I would say, at the intersection of B2C and B2B. This is the regional revenues squad on the top right corner. And basically, they try to maximize first-party data. They want to qualify customers, and they ask questions like, what is the most sensible way to deal with discover traffic? So a customer who visits our newspapers and comes through Discover, should we let him hit the paywall or not, or does it make more sense to show some more programmatic advertising and so on? So those are the basic questions that this squad is taking care of. Well, that's from my side, and maybe this is the perfect moment to hand over to you.
Yes, thanks, Daniel. Is Greg already with us? No, he's not. Okay, but anyway, we'll start. Okay, so let's have maybe a look at our, let's say, usual numbers, just to give you a quick overview. So how is the traffic? More or less stable. So the fears of what is it called these days, Google Zero, maybe the fear is there, but that's not the reality right now. It went down, but it's going up again. So maybe the usual up and down, more or less stable. And we hear from other publishers, they really do have problems. We don't seem to have them, at least until now. Stein.
Is this page views or what are we looking at?
Sorry, monthly visits of the website, monthly website visits.
So unique visitors, unique cookies, or?
No, visits, so sessions.
Sessions,
So,
okay.
Sessions,
Yeah, okay.
In this case, sessions. Yeah, in this case, sessions. A number of sessions per month. Yeah, right.
But you also see this, if you look into your Google traffic, that it's not plummeting like a lot of people are saying, because I see the same at MediaHaus. We still have quite some traffic from Google. It's not all search traffic, but there's a lot of Google Discover, which is obviously not our most, how shall I, it's not our favorite kind of Google traffic because you don't have any lever on it, or lever. But is that the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing, I mean, Google traffic is more or less stable. We're seeing declining social traffic, but I mean, for 18
years. Yeah.
For years, yeah. And we see growing direct traffic. So we are every month somewhere between 45 and 50% direct traffic. So there are also ups and downs, but that's stable, and that is, I mean, we were able to improve that by 10, 15 percentage points in the last 2 years or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So this huge chunk of direct traffic gives us enough stability to not to struggle too much with the traffic issues. And of course, it's an up and down.
Yeah. And no one knows what's gonna happen, whatever next month or what have you. But more or less stable, and that's maybe more of a good sign than of a bad sign.
What is more different to you, Stain, is we have low newsletter traffic and high social traffic. I think it's the other way around at MediaHouse, which has a lot more newsletter traffic, isn't it?
Yeah, but we have a lot of traffic from Google Discover. That is actually really, really big. It's getting bigger every time. That's a good thing. We have a lot of newsletter traffic. That's one of the big ones in Belgium, because in Belgium they've built up their newsletter traffic throughout the years before there were any real regulations. I'm not saying that it was illegal, but it was also not very legal. But it was not illegal. There were just there were no rules. So that's sometimes a good thing of living in Belgium. Sometimes we just don't have rules, and everybody does what he thinks he has to do.
Okay, so that's also what the people in the harbor in Antwerp say with the drugs. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's.
I had another question. As well. Do you have
Sure.
Do you have the same tendency in your attention time?
In our attention time in general, I'm looking at Marcel.
It's decreasing, of course.
That should be.
Yeah, but we got your question, Stain, and we'll have an additional chart in the storytelling part. That's maybe helpful.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, and so in terms of digital subscriptions, so we surpassed the 60,000 mark. So we are somewhere at 54% of our North Star goal, halfway there, and the other half is still in front of us. But yeah, so 23,000 plus subscribers, ePaper at 37,000. When we met in October, we were at, I forgot it, 58 or something, maybe like that. So are you leaving, Wolfram? No.
I will leave.
He had enough. Disappointed. He had enough. Okay. So, but of course, the main growth should of course come from the Plus subscription, and so you see some developments there. We had this cyclone test. We'll come to that a little later. That has pushed us nearly to 25,000. Then some people left. We'll discuss it a little later. And so there were real movements in the market. Let's say it this way, maybe. What's maybe interesting in order to compare that is a little benchmark with some of our neighbors, so Rheinische Post from Düsseldorf and Watz from Funke from Essen here next door almost. They grew their Plus subscription. Yeah, you can see it by 16 or 4%, and their full price subscriptions by 14, 15, and we 16%. So we were able to grow faster than at least our neighbors in this regard.
And if you compare the offers, it's that we long time had more expensive offers than Watz or Rheinische Post, and even in the last quarter or from July on, we only had the €1 for half a year. So it's for instance maybe the same offers.
Yes. Of course, then with the cyclone, €1 for until the end of the year. We started that in July. ARPU, of course, got a hit, went down. Then it went up again after the cyclone test ended. Now we have spread the cyclone. It's now our default term and offering, and not only at Ruhrnachrichten, but also on all 12 brands. So ARPU is going down again, but volume is going up. So we are working on that balance, Wolfram.
Yes, for us, this benchmark with Rheinische Post and WA, that is very interesting because they are neighbors. But do we also know their market penetration with Plus abos?
We know that, Rheinische Post, they crossed the 50,000 mark, so they are a little double our size, a little more.
should be quite comparable.
And Watts, they are at I guess they're they do have the same volume that we have. But they have a bigger area. So in terms of market penetration, we should be a little better than Watts. But I mean, we're talking about
1 or 2%.
1 or 2% percentage. So
we all are at the beginning.
yeah, it's a first floor of the 100 floor building, as Greg would say now.
Okay.
And there
Greg, I'm talking about Greg.
Talking about Greg, and there he is. Yeah.
Greg, greetings
Greg.
to Oslo.
Hi.
Greg.
Hello.
Oh, is that Oslo in the behind you in the background?
No, actually, it's electronic. But sorry for being late. I'm so sorry for this inconvenience.
No problem at all. No problem at all. We're glad that you're here.
Great that you are here,
Yeah.
Greg. Thank you so much, and great that you made it. I mean, you had some obligations today. Thank you so much.
We were just literally, I was quoting you with the one story of the 100-story building that we are. And I was really, no joke, literally quoting you, and you came in. So that can't be a coincidence. All right. So we were just looking at our general numbers and how we grew in the past month and the past year compared to some of our neighbors like Rheinische Post and Watts, Westdeutsche Allgemeine Zeitung. Okay, but
Where do you get these numbers? Is that from the Drive project, or just because you know these guys very well, or how does that go?
I think Philip has those numbers from a karaoke meeting or something else. It is.
Maybe, yes, no, but because we know each other and from time to time we are benchmarking ourselves, you won't find, they are not within Drive. There are other publishers within Drive, and it's very transparent. They are not, but from time to time we disclose the numbers to each other.
Okay.
I can fool them, of course, with our numbers, of course. Okay. Okay, so and with that, I'd like to hand over to Jens for our focus topic, and it is within our POC squad, within our proof of concept project in Dortmund. It is the kind of the storytelling and story quality, and that is on top of Jens' mind. And so Jens, I'll hand over to you. Take it away, please.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. And the chart shows it. We continue to work on making our content better and more relevant, of course, also the last month. And how we do that with the help of data, with better photos, with a new production plan. But we also want to work on the narrative style of our stories and of our content. And that is the next step, we think. But at first, next slide, please, Philip. But at first, dear Stain, you asked some questions yesterday, I think, and we tried to give some answers with some numbers of your questions, how our development in the last 12 months was in Dortmund in our proof of concept initiative. So we have reduced the numbers of articles per day from 25 to 16 because we wanted to give our reporters more time to produce better and more relevant content and deeply content and to bring it to a new quality. That was our idea. So it's a minus of 30%, and what happened? We have increased the number of subscribers by around 65% in Dortmund. That's cool, of course, and but the total page impressions and engagement time of subscribers have remained constantly. So I think there we could be perform better. And since July 25, we have been working according to a new production plan. You can see it here in the slide with fixed recurring topics. And for these articles, the engagement time per article has increased by 25%. I think that's good news for us. If you have some questions, please tell us. Otherwise, I would go to the next chart.
I mean, it is, if I can jump in there, I mean, it is a little bit of a mixed bag. We're not quite sure. I mean, thanks for the questions, Dane. We're not quite sure what, to be honest, what to make of them. Håkon.
Just a quick question. How do the journalists respond to this kind of structure?
This kind of structure in terms of the production plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, both the production plan and also just using more data and kind of like being part of this. Like, is this viewed as positive or?
Yeah, I think it's mostly positive. At first, we brought a new structure in the newsroom. So we have two teams. One team is our update team. They produce all the content we need today, and it produces all the content what happened today. And the other team is our topic team, right? Two teams, and we have reporters which are responsible for such topics. And our idea is to produce the topics out of the daily business with more time. So our plan is we don't achieve it up to now, but the plan is to bring the content 1 hour, 1 week before publishing to the desk, to the editorial desk, to have time with 4 and 6 eyes to produce it better and make the content better.
Yeah. So maybe the strategy is do less better. So doing less but better. I mean, the background is also, if I can add to that, Jens, that our newsroom in Dortmund, it is or was a news machine, an update machine. It's really amazing how they jump on breaking news and everything. And under the leadership of our former content team manager, they professionalized the atomization of news. There was a little tiny bit new, a little 1% new, bam, new story. So I'm overstating a little, but they were really an update machine. But the feeling was, there's too much new stuff, and you remember we are we convert a lot, but we don't retain that good. So the feeling was, it is too fast. We spin the cycle too fast. So that was kind of the feeling, and that's why you and your colleagues Jens came up with that plan. So let's do less update stuff and more quality, or more for different quality, if you will.
But to answer Håkon, to answer your question, in addition to Jens, we have a transformation atmosphere in this Dortmund team, and so the response and the questions, and it is positive in the first step. Of course, we also have something that is a little bit like a transformation fatigue. Is it correct?
Fatigue.
Transformation fatigue. But we can handle it.
And I mean, Marcel is with us. As much as I understood, it's a whole different ball game regarding data in 26 compared to 25. The whole point of the cyclone was to collect data. So it's mandatory to fill in your name, your address, your gender, age, all of that. And that was the foundation of the data we collected, and you developed this production plan out of data, right?
Greg? Yes.
Hey, I have a question, like, do you have a plan how to optimize those days? I understand that you launched, these different verticals based on, some sort of inside information from the past and so on. But likely you will discover that some of it works and some of it maybe works less. What would be the process to change it? To, I don't know, abandon history and launch whatever, music?
Do you want to respond, Jens? Otherwise, I could.
Please, Philip, please.
Okay, so this one on the right-hand side is also the second or third version, maybe. So so your team, Jens, they started in July with that plan, and it is already the third iteration. For example, so there, I'm sorry, it is in German, but but story is English. So, for example, we found out that on weekends, so Saturday and Sunday, we were weak, but that on Saturday and Sunday, stories that inspire. They are not a special topic, but they try to help the user need inspire me. They work really well on weekends. So that's why there was one story for Saturday and Sunday, and it's the same story just staying there. So to answer your question, it is an ongoing process, and what I find interesting is that when we looked at the data, we found out that maybe in this topic, this means Unternehmen means local businesses, that in this topic of local businesses, the variety of stories was way too big. So one story didn't have anything to do with the story the next day or the day after. So, and there are other publishers, for example, Die Zeit. I mean, they're weekly, of course, but they have much more consistency, kind of within their verticals, if you will. And so that's what happened then. So the question was, and you worked, Jens, with the data analyst and the team. And so, for example, now each topic has one lead question. So in order to have more consistency within one vertical. So long answer for a short question. It is an iterative process, but the data analyst is within the newsroom in our POC squad. And so they're working kind of day to day, and they have weekly, I guess it is a weekly meeting. You could call it a weekly content review, where they analyze their data. So that's maybe an answer.
That's a good answer, but may I just add something, just a thought, yeah?
Sure.
That if you only look at the data about content that you published, you will not potentially discover new types of topics.
Sure.
Because you will not have data to tell you anything about it. So when you think about this process of iteration, one thing is just, like discovering, like, let's say, bestsellers and just do more of it. So behave like Disney with Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 4. The other idea would be to have some sort of a process where you can actually experiment with a new topic. So you can show it to people and see whether there is like a pickup. So this is just to say, like, it doesn't need to be most of your work. It doesn't need to be the primary goal, but it could be like a secondary, like, I don't know, 20%, 10%. That you have a process of coming up with new, basically, approaches, new ideas that can be shown to people just as an experiment. Like, tomorrow we do China, tomorrow we do sex, tomorrow we do, I don't know, something else, pizza in Dortmund. Yeah, I'm just completely making it up, like things that you haven't thought about, but you could actually try. This is just an idea.
Yes, yes, very good. Thank you. Thank you.
So we started with all the topics which are obvious for the daily life for our customers, right? But we developed the plan in the last month, so we hadn't at the beginning not the topic security, for example. Now we have it because we saw from the content out of the update team that whenever we produce content about security, that we are very successful with such of content, and so we brought it to the topic plan because we saw in the data that security is a very relevant topic, especially for women. So we put it in the plan. Yeah, but you are right. Of course, we have to prove it every month, of course.
Yeah, and perhaps it is a good idea to have one test vertical in our plan where we just try new content and test it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think also the first step has to be to make the obvious topics for the daily life of our customers to bring it to success, right? We have around 3,000 PIs of an article at the moment, of a topic article at the moment in a 600,000 people city. So I think let's bring the topics which are obvious for the people, bring it to success after we have a look to the next best topics, I think.
I guess we have to do both. So make that better and experiment with different stuff that we are not doing today. So maybe both, yeah. All right. Okay, Jens, over to you again.
I had another question. Sorry. If you do this, do you have any problem with the newspaper? Because that was one of the constraints that we had at first when we made less content. One of the things is that there was a fear, we will not be able to fill the paper. And then we just, in a lot of our entities, then we changed the layout of the newspaper. So we did not have these small articles anymore, and we skipped all the clutter, like subtitles and all that labels. We put it all out of the newspaper to have an easier way to bring it from digital to paper.
So we have no problem in Dortmund. We just only speak about Dortmund, and because we produce so much content in Dortmund with our big editorial team that we have no problem to have enough content for e-paper and print. But we see. We planned to speak about e-paper today, and Antonia cannot be with us today. But we see that this topic plan for our editorial team, that one consequence is that our stories that they get longer. We produce big stories, and we see that these big stories are that they are too big for our newspaper. So, for example, that we have only 1 or 2 stories on our page, and that this is for our e-paper customers that they have not enough choice to select a story that they like. So this is a problem we have to speak about, and we have to measure, because we of course can see how e-paper pages are, how customer react on e-paper pages, but we have enough stories in Dortmund. Greg.
But just a question about e-paper. Do you need to have the same contents in the e-paper as in the paper?
By now,
Because
yes.
with layout automation, you could potentially have more pages. So you could solve the problem just by generating more pages for e-paper. And this is a route that a number of publishers took, because they figured that, you know, e-paper readers are like more traditional readers than digital readers. And they actually enjoy having like, you know, like even strange things like stock listings or weather listings, or, you know, like, so basically things you cut from the newspaper maybe years ago, they are actually happy to get them. And because print layout automation is a thing, it allows people to generate additional pages just without much of additional cost. This is just a consideration to solve the problem of small choice for e-paper readers that.
He's gone.
I guess he's
frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but-
Okay. I thought it was me, but that's okay. Yeah.
That's it, because he's in Norway, he's frozen. Is it so cold?
Hold on. T-shirt. But what Greg said is correct. We have to, for the circulation, we have to have a one-on-one copy of the paper, but we can put there additional pages, additional game pages, soccer Ergebnisse, soccer results, and so on. We can put everything behind the normal e-paper pages. So Greg, there you are again. Yeah, everything you said is right. We can do that, and we can put additional pages at the maybe at the end of the e-paper. The Neue Osnabrücker Zeitung, NOTZ, is doing that. We had an exchange with them and took some good ideas from them. So you put some good ideas too, and we will do that in a few weeks.
Yeah. So that's from, as far as I get it, what the e-paper squad is doing.
e-paper squad is planning that and doing that. So thanks for the great input.
Yeah, maybe there's one more issue regarding the question: is the content that we produce for Plus perfect for the e-paper and print edition? If you take a look at this publishing plan, there's this label Gastro, which means food, basically. So it's food content on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We see that it works in our online edition, so in the Plus editions, but not necessarily in the e-paper in the same manner. Yeah, just saying that because there's a more conservative. The readers are more conservative, and some of them don't feel comfortable with so much food content.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jens, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Stein, one of your questions was, what do you understand by storytelling? And for our next steps, storytelling means to us, we perfect the art of telling our stories to people with the best protagonists, but also with multimedia storytelling. So those both points for the next steps. Next chart, please. And because we know we need the best and the relevant content for our products to have a future, right? And our first rule is, and this is one example, we don't tell the grand chronology of the war. We tell the story of the woman who was poisoned by her mother in 1945 when she was a 4-year-old girl. The mother was afraid of the approaching Red Army and first poisoned her 4 children, then herself. And only this girl, the woman on the photo, survived thanks to a gag reflex. And this example stands for emotional storytelling about all the brutalities of war, for example. And next, please. So storytelling does not mean telling a topic in a beautiful way. Storytelling means finding the real life in which a big idea becomes visible. And the good news is every story can be told in exactly the same way. Next, please, Philip. For example, don't report just housing shortage in North Rhine-Westphalia, but a man who for the 3rd time doesn't unpack his moving box because he knows he won't be staying here either. Zwei weiter bitte. Or another example, not just business startups, but a woman sitting in an industrial warehouse at 2:37 at morning, correcting Excel spreadsheets because the tax advisor is coming in the morning and she has to explain why 412 euros are missing from the account. Next, please. Yeah, in a nutshell, because good stories don't explain that something matters, they make you feel it. And that is what we want to do with our content. Next, please. And we did a lot in the last 2 years, I think. So it is we produce much more content from the perspective of people. We bring the people in the photographs, and we produce much more relevant content. But I think at the moment it's not enough. Next, please. Yeah. Okay. Editorial standards of the New York Times. It's also a role model for us. Of course, the best stories are not about topics; they are about the people who experience those topics. I think it's not new, but we have to bring it in much more in the minds of our reporters, right? And one slide back, please. And if you compare these photos with the next slide, with the photos on the next slide, Philip, I think we can see a big difference in quality. This is an example for the quality we want to achieve for our content, not only with photos, but also with text storytelling and also scrollytelling. We want to produce very excellent content for our products, and that we have to achieve it. Next, please. And on the next slide, you can see what we are doing until April this year. So we will take another close look at our personas for our target audiences, 30 to 50 years old. We will bring in the best storytellers in to support us in designing truly outstanding storytelling. At the moment, we are searching for the best heads for that, for the best trainers for that. Afterwards, we will train all the reporters with the results. We will depend more heavily on professional photographers again. In our mindset at the moment is every reporter has to bring his own picture from the appointments, but we see that we lost a lot of quality in the last years. And next point is we use an AI assistant to plan and produce our stories with accurate audience targeting. That's yeah.
Oh, Jens, just one question. How is this AI assistant working? What is the principle?
Yeah, you can bring your idea for the next story into GPT and ask the GPT in which way I have to tell the story, what would be the best protagonist for the story, which questions I have to answer for the right target group. What is the target group you want to tell the story for? So it's the target group assistant is using before you research and write the story.
So it's a GPT. And
It's a GPT.
It's a custom GPT, and it's working right now. We have to feed it with our kind of new, or with the information from our target audience approach.
yeah.
I guess we'll be able to do it later this week. So our plan is to have it ready by Friday, maybe.
Okay, and is this assistant well accepted when you showed our reporters? Are they happy to see that artificial friend, or do they say what the?
In my we showed it for the first time last week to our reporters on Wednesday, and in my opinion, the most of our reporters are happy to work with it. Not at the moment, because we do not launch it up to now, but we get some questions about that when we can use it, and so on and so on. So I think it will be well used in the future, and the future can start in the next 2 weeks, I think.
Okay. Sorry, back to your slides, Jens.
Back to the last slide, please. Because all these initiatives are initiatives for our reporters, but we think we need also technical support and technical progress. And next slide, please. To tell the best stories. So for scrollytelling, right? So at the moment we are at the beginning to define the multimedia features we need for scrollytelling to tell special topics in a special frame, and afterwards we have to integrate it into our CMS to produce scrollytellings like Amedia, for example. I think we all know very interesting and good produced examples for scrollytelling from Amedia, and that's a role model for us, of course. Yeah. Okay.
I have a question, but Sten, go first, please.
I would always advise to keep a very keen eye on your numbers with scrollytellings, because I'm very skeptical about them. I think I've said this probably before, because I don't have real good numbers on scrollytelling stories. But it could also be because we've made them very poorly, and then maybe technically they were not very good. But mostly when we do user research and we ask people, how they want to consume this or that article, and you give them 4 or 5 formats, mostly they prefer the very simple version with a picture and a short text. And secondly, they prefer the swiping version like you have in, for instance, Instagram or whatever. But the scrolly is mostly the last one in the row, because it's just too much of a hassle. People just want to know what is this about, and not, I have to scroll here and then a video starts playing and then a graph, whatever. I don't get it. What is all this? And it works very well on an iPad, but mostly not on a phone. So you have to do it very well, technically. And you have to keep a very good eye on your targets, because mostly it's a lot of work. I hope you have a good format and good template, but it takes a lot of effort. And if it then does not pay off in your numbers, you should be very aware. On the other hand, I get it. Sometimes you just want to do something cool, something nice. It's also how you call that? You want to show your métier. You want to show what you can do, it's not always about the numbers. Sometimes you also want to have kind of a showcase and then make something great. And so it should not all be sterile, but just a warning, maybe.
Okay. Thank you for the warning. So I think we haven't the own experience, right? But we have, of course, our friendly companies and our role models we can ask about that. I think the first next step has to be that all of our reporters brings the right pieces and the right informations, the right videos, the right pictures to tell the story at its best. I think that is the next step we have to achieve, and after that, storytelling or not, we have to decide it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next slide, please. It's all about stories. One. Thank you. So, long story short, we have for our discussion some questions for you guys. We want to interest in your answers. What's missing from our roadmap? You think from your perspective, how do we achieve better storytelling, and how do we write enough well-read stories every day? I think we made a good progress in the last 2 years, but it's not enough. We are not fast enough, and we need your help.
Okay.
That storytelling isn't the solution. Maybe not the one.
maybe it is. Maybe it is the icing on the cake. I don't know, but
Yeah.
But we need some cake.
Okay. Maybe some cake or cookies first. We'll be back.
Okay. A thing that we are working on is looking at, and I don't know how it is built at Lensing. It's okay. It's also good that I can just say Lensing, because now that covers everything, if I understood it well in the beginning of Daniel's explanation. So that's good. What we are looking at is to build in a lot of tools and a lot of AI tools, especially in the CMS, and we had them kind of in the CMS, but we've seen that building these things in a very intuitive way into your CMS is far more important than building them, because you can have 10 of these great tools. If they are not just one click or even not a click away, just a swipe away in your CMS, they are not used, or the decline is enormous. So we had, for instance, the summarizer, where you can just say, give me this article in a 5 bullet point summary. It was in a special panel. So you had to click to the panel and then to the summarizer. There's 2 clicks, and then generate 3 clicks. And then you could have your summary. We have built it now, and we will start using it next week, that you can just write your article and click on one button and you have your summary immediately in your article. I'm sure that this will help. The same goes for SEO titles and headline testing. We will build this. This is now built in right in your article, so no extra functionality anymore. And I think that is also very, very important in your roadmap or whatever you have, to use these tools, because it's not because you have them that they are used. And I know you all know this, but every time I see that again, it happens every time again. So you have this we have, for instance, Standard, which is our premium brand in Belgium. They now have a version in French, which is really a cool idea because just a side story here, but Belgium is, as you know, divided in 2 parts, the Dutch-speaking part and the French-speaking part, and in the middle we have Brussels, where they speak kind of everything. And now the Standard has made a daily overview with the 10 most important articles for our French-speaking Belgians, translated into French, so they can have content from Flanders directly from Flanders in French. Anyway, this thing is built in a tool that is really cool, but it's not really embedded already in the CMS. So we have to make it somewhere and then put it into. And I know this will be the biggest obstacle to roll this cool feature out to any other brand. So it's just saying that technology here plays a very big role. So I think that is really important. But maybe you're thinking like, okay, is he ever going to stop talking because we have all this? I don't know.
No,
Well, it depends, I guess, Jens. Huh? The bullet point thing is now in our CMS, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. We Stain, we have some functionalities in our CMS, helpful AI functionalities, and but I think we are on the beginning of that. We are not very happy with the results of AI generated headlines. So I can say for myself that if I generate a headline with AI, I wouldn't do it in our CMS. I would do it in a tool like ChatGPT or Perplexity. So I think we are in the beginning, and we have to make it better. And our people who worked on it knows my opinion of that. So, but my question to you is: would it be possible, Stain, to make a Teams call with you or a colleague of yours to show us in which way your reporters work with AI in your content management system? Would that be possible to make it to see it?
Yeah, sure. I'll ask. Just looking. I'll ask Lies. She used to be in my team, so she comes from a newsroom. She is the business partner for newsrooms at the technology department right now. So that was, I think, a good move, both for our journalists and both for our technology department, because now they have someone who talks technology but knows about newsrooms and the other way around. And she was one of the people who, she's actually the person that is now prioritizing all these things. So she knows quite well, and she has done a lot of migrations from the old systems that we had to the Q system. So, and she also knows what is possible and what not. So maybe this would be a good thing. And I know we also worked with a German company now called Unit B, I think it's called. It's a German company. I think they are helping us now with the integration with Cordian, which is our scheduling and our planning tool. Yeah, so yeah, I can do that. That's no problem.
Well, thank you so much. That would be very helpful, I think, to see it. Greg?
What I'm missing from your storytelling roadmap is not actually the technical part, but the storytelling part. What I mean by that is, I don't know, have you ever trained your journalists in, what is a story? Like that you have a hero, you have a certain tension, you have resolution, and so on. Have you trained them in plots? Like, like there is a plot of a journey and learning something. Do they understand that every story has a, victim, perpetrator, and rescuer, like psychology of stories? I would just mention that people who teach creative writing, people who teach, screen script writing and things like that, they actually can teach you very, very quickly what are the key elements of each story. And, I attended such courses for managers, for example, not for actually writers, but for managers. And it works with managers. Like they understand that when they present, they need to have, who is the victim, who is the perpetrator, who is the rescuer.
Is that the secret sauce of your presentations, Greg? Maybe.
I don't know. I haven't been professionally trained with these, but what I'm just trying to tell you, this is just storytelling practice. Yeah, storytelling practice that you need to have attention, that you need to have a choice, and there are different methods in storytelling, like in business storytelling, in movie storytelling, in literature storytelling. This is all coming back to like Aristotle Poetica, but I just mention it because sometimes we forget about it, that this can be actually very easy. Like if you have a victim, who is the perpetrator, who is the rescuer? You just need to ask these three questions. If you are considering who should be on the picture, these three. You know, like I understand that you can improve quality by having higher quality pictures or animations or bullet points, but if a story doesn't have three main heroes, if the pictures do not show the three main protagonists, you know, it won't work. Like I would say, these are like the basics, and I'm pretty sure that I talked about it with people who teach journalism at a university, and they are not teaching it. So journalists are taught to answer like 5 whys, you know, what, you know, why, when, and so on. But they are not answered who is the actor, who is the benefactor, who is the, you know, and so on. They are not answering these kind of questions. And therefore their stories are kind of dramatically undermined, underwhelming. And then because they don't ask these questions, they also wonder what should be on the picture, yeah, and they don't really have the right things on the picture. So this is just a thought.
I think that's the most important point. Thank you so much for that. We on the other slide, that was the point or the question where we are searching for an answer. What is missing in our stories to be the best stories we can produce? So we are searching for an expert for storytelling who would tell us all the points you said, Craig. What is the solution for the problem in the story? Who's the victim? Who's the guy who helps him? Whatever. I think that is the point. That is.
I would think
that is a part of the solution.
Maybe people who like you know, work with television or movies will have the best language, because the literature experts can be good, but they might just overcomplicate it. So I would say movies, television probably is just simpler. But you know, they know this shit. This is like, there are books about it, there are courses about it. People, you know, adapted to business, to PR, to whatever. So this is not something. And I know that, for example, when Bild Zeitung was launching in Poland, this was the first training that they've done, that they did. Like, Germans came to teach Polish journalists how to write. So basically there are questions was like, you know, who is the victim? Who's the perpetrator? Who is the rescuer? Are they on pictures? Like, this was the first 3 questions to the journalists. Like,
Jens, we're discussing here, Leopold Hirsch could be a great guy, or one of his team.
Yeah. I had the same idea.
Cool.
I had the same idea. So let's call him.
Okay. So who is that? So Leopold Hirsch is a guy we know. He's based in Cologne, Germany, and he's head of a production firm for TV. He's doing whatever documentaries, and I guess there's a movie coming to the cinemas, right? With the one about a German surfer riding the big waves, whatever.
For movies.
I see Buzz on social media. Yeah, and he's a great storyteller, and he's just an hour away. So that could be a good idea, right?
Yeah. Cool. So these are just like what you want to develop is you know, use something that your journalists are aware. So if they are no longer book readers, you should talk about movies or shows. Yeah. But you want to develop like a few questions that, you know, they will ask. Like, okay, like, let's say this story is about, I don't know, murder, but what it is also about. Oh, it is about poor versus rich. You know, so there is a few questions that you need to develop this way, and they will enrich every story they write. So they don't need to become like sophisticated literary experts. They don't need to remember like every single plot. that was, developed sometime. They just need to have a few questions in their minds, and it will change them forever into better storytellers.
I think the most plots our reporters know, they know it from Netflix.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because, apparently there is only 7 of those. So I'm pretty sure they watched 7 shows on Netflix, so they know them all.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Stein, I think we know a lot about what we need for good stories. I think we can learn more, but today we know a lot and we don't get it. Was heißt nochmal Umsetzung, Leute? Sorry.
We are not executing it very well.
We are not executing it every day and in every story. And so a colleague recently said that he couldn't find a single Borussia Dortmund fan in Dortmund for a story we wanted to write, and he told it in the conference and said, no chance. I don't find a BVB fan with a little child. And I said, what? We are in Dortmund. Here, everybody is a fan of Borussia Dortmund. We have to find one. So, and I think it's a long story short. I think it's a mindset problem. Not every one of our reporters has it, but a lot of them have the problem. I think. What was the initiatives at Mediahus to bring all the important initiatives and things in the minds of our reporters, so that he produced a story like we wanted.
Well, first of all, Mediahuis is not kind of the paradise in the desert. We have the same problems as you have. So just to make that clear, you're not alone in this. But I think Nieuwsblad has made some progress on that, because I actually, a couple of years ago, or even last year even, we had, no, 2 years ago, there was a list like, these are the things that we should change at Mediahuis, and I think I remember quite clearly, photography was one of them, as you have also mentioned. And the other thing was, we are too institutionalized. That means, like, for instance, and they still do that. They still do that. For instance, when you have the how you call that, the city council every month, with all the city council members, then they would typically they would typically report about what's being said there, which is kind of interesting if you're interested in politics, but it's of course not for the most of the readers. Next to the theater of opposition versus the coalition, that's also always interesting and always nice to read. But the thing is, what does that mean for the people in the city? That part was always under. It was not covered enough, right? So that's something that they changed. How do they change that? I think the biggest thing that we do now is what we call the signature journalism exercise, and maybe you have read about it because it has been in some events and some conferences already, and I see Greg nodding. I think that's a great initiative. And actually, it's more of a conversation starter, and I'll just try to explain for people who don't know how this works. At Mediahuis, you have a guy who's really amazing. He's called Gerben, and I think some of them have met him already, because I've hooked Gerben up with a lot of people already that I know, and he's also very interested in doing that, so that's also interesting. But Gerben is our newsroom strategy director, but he's also a very humble man, which is really interesting in his position, because he has to work with all these editors-in-chiefs and all these CEOs, and still they have to see him as a present and not as a threat. So, and that kind of works. And what he does is he comes to your newsroom on Monday. And the first thing that they do together with the data people, they look at, okay, what are we producing every week? And I think you already have that because that's probably one of the starting points of the whole exercise, Jens. What are we already producing? And some of them already have a plan and schedule, some of them don't have a plan. And then they start drilling that all down on some axis, and the same ones that you have. We produce that much, it's read that much, and okay, what should we do more? What should we do less? At the end of the week, what they want to have is a list of 15 articles that they have to make every day to be successful. And that is all kind of what you do as well. But the most important thing is the whole conversation around that, because all what you're saying, they are discussing that, they are debating that. And he brings that to the table every time again and again, but with quite a big audience. For instance, we did the signature week at Aknet Zeitung. I think we were like 20 people in that room, including Andreas Müller, the CEO, also including, of course, Amin and Tom, and you know these guys, the great guys from the newsroom in Aachen, but also the data guy, Philippe Roche. And they were all there and in one room talking about the journalism that they make with the numbers on the screen, with the discussions at the table. And that's 3 days in a row, 3 full days. And that kind of works, if you ask me, because at the end of that week, you have your list of, okay, these are our 15 articles. These have to go into our schedule. And I think that is a very, very interesting discussion. But maybe that's also how you did it, because actually the deliverables are a plan, it's kind of a schedule. Another deliverable is also what should we change, like in photography and all that. But because it's such a big exercise with so many people, also with the B2C people, it kind of works because it gets some weight. You cannot say it wasn't important if everybody is in that room, and you have to report on that. But on the other hand, Jens, I was looking at the numbers that you presented. You're doing quite well, no? If you, I mean, you say, I don't know who says that it's not good, but if you have 65% of uptake on subscriptions, I would say you're doing a great job already, no? I just, that's why I asked in my email, what exactly is the problem? What is the question?
We are not fast enough. We are not fast enough. That is the problem.
Yeah, but that's been the problem. We've been working with you guys and in the media as well for a couple of years, and it's a problem everywhere. We all think we're not fast enough, but that's maybe another problem than having better photography. And then that's why I was asking that question, because the slides that you're showing are actually touching, to me, the core questions that most of the newsrooms have. But I see Hakan wants to say something as well, so maybe it can give a different perspective.
Thank you, Håkon.
Yeah, I just want to kind of not challenge, but kind of support the one point. Since I'm not a journalist, I'm not gonna say too much about that. And I also think that kind of like the roadmap and what you described here is overall great. Just going to go back to data analysis because that is so core. And I never get under my skin exactly how we use data and how it's incorporated, kind of like in developing the business, and how you kind of like what was just said. How do you use data to analyze previous articles to identify what is working, not working, and have you and then how you kind of use those results then to measure going forward if the things that you identify as being good, do they actually make a difference if you start implementing some of those findings. So it's nothing you really need to answer now. It's just a reflection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. It's not reflected in our charts, but I mean, we do have for example, a data analyst and embedded in the newsroom in Dortmund, and I mean to maybe combine your thoughts, Stein and Håkon, I believe that what we did or what you do, Jens, with Felix in the newsroom, talking about stories with the people who are responsible for the different topics or verticals and stuff, that to me it feels like what Herbert is doing at Mediahuis. At least I guess there was also, I thought we were kind of copying that, but maybe it would be a great idea to have that somehow challenged by the colleague from Mediahuis. Maybe we could give him a quick or give him an insight on how we are developing that, and maybe have a little benchmark there.
Sure, yeah. But we had this conversation with Gerben, right? About signal journalism, no? I can't really remember, but I think we had that. So
yes, and we'll maybe if we'll move on a little, we'll touch the point maybe of data and working with data in the newsroom, but in a couple of slides. But maybe Greg first.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to, just add one thought, that I understand that a lot of this training and so on, it's a heavy lifting on Jens, yeah? And I don't know your newsroom, but I remember from my newsrooms that journalists sometimes behaved like teachers, meaning what I mean by that is that teachers learn how to be teachers, then they go to work for school, and they never, like mathematics teacher never talks to, English language teacher about teaching. They might be talking about weather, they might be talking about many things, but they don't talk about what actually happens in the classroom, because everybody is a king in his classroom. And journalists may be a little bit like this. Like a business reporter might not necessarily talk about interviewing or finding protagonists for stories with a sports reporter. Yeah, it's just not common. The boss is teaching you. If you hire like a trainer, they will train them, but they don't necessarily talk about the practice of journalism with one another. And one thing that I remember was super useful was actually create like a forum. It was like a weekly thing within the newsroom where different journalists were asked to describe how they do things, how they achieved a success with a story, how did they find all those protagonists, how they investigated something, how they made this picture. And it was just like, just tell us how you've done it. Yeah, it's super amazing. And this really opened up a lot. Because, people have their own strategies how to approach things, like I need to find a, football fan with a child. I need to do something. I need to convince someone to allow me to take a picture. I want to convince someone to tell me the story how their wife was murdered and it was just 2 hours ago, and so on. I don't know, whatever. Like, yeah, and in a way, a teacher or an editor will always be too theoretical to be useful. But these reporters, they have the details. You just need to find a way for them to talk about it on a regular basis. And if you achieve this is like this is really transformational when they start talking about how they do these kind of little things.
That interestingly happened last week, right, Jens? Because on Wednesdays now, for the first or second time, your Dortmund newsroom, they have an all-hands meeting, like an internal all-hands meeting. And was it last week, our economics reporter, he talked about and he presented how he is getting buzz on LinkedIn and how he's connecting on LinkedIn with people and how he's connecting now with when he's at events or what have you. And he was just presenting that, right, to the team and how he's doing it, and it could be done everywhere from culture reporter to what have you. And so that's interesting because exactly that happened last week for the first time, at least for the first time I'm aware. And that could be, Jens, that could be the recurring, thing on Wednesday mornings, right? Like peer-to-peer stuff, and not you teaching them what to do. Yeah.
Yes, but another thought I got in the last minutes is I think we speak a lot about the right content, but the most time in conferences, 2 times a week, for example, and when the article is finished, it's in most cases it's too late to change the article. What we are missing at the moment is to have editorial developer who are accompany our reporters during they research and produce the content. That is missing at the moment. We speak a lot in the planning phase. We speak a lot after the article, but our problem is often that the article is produced, it's finished, and we say, okay, we see some points we could make it better, but we need now this article for whatever, for the slot, for the website slot, or for the print page, whatever, and that is a problem. So we have to fill the phase between planning and publishing, and so I think we need, and we had that in the past, but in the last 2 years not. We need 2 or 3 guys in the newsroom in Dortmund who make editorial development and accompany our reporters by producing and researching the story. That is my thought I got in the last minutes.
This is editor, but this is also, I would consider using AI for this. So you showed us that you have as a reporter, I can talk to a persona, but imagine a different workflow in which I have an idea of an article or even an article itself, and I push it to all 4 personas at once, including a persona that is like a crazy Jens, who is always criticizing everything and asking difficult questions. And basically what you get is you get a feedback to an idea or to an article or to a draft that is coming from 4 personas of readers and 4 personas of editors. There is one editor, like 7 hats of the Bono. There is an editor who is very emotional. There is an editor who is super strict and numbers driven. There is an editor who is a great storyteller. There is an editor who is just crazy and always has stupid questions. And basically, because you will always have a problem to scale. Like editorial development is a great idea. The problem is scalability. I think AI solves this potentially at scale, because you can have an ersatz of such a editorial advisory board for each and every article and to each and every journalist by basically building such personas and including it in the workflow. You should have humans, but humans will not be able to talk to 100 or 250 journalists every day. Yeah? It's just impossible. Like you would need to have 50 editors. Yeah. So that's why I think you could consider using AI. You just need to rethink the workflow. The workflow is not to ask a persona about a life, but basically get them to evaluate concept, draft, or a ready article.
Great. Thank you. Good advice. Thank you. Good advice, I guess. Okay. Jens, ready to move on?
Yes, no more questions at the moment. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Then for the kind of last part, we would like to have a look onto our Cyclone and onto the data and what we are making of that data right now, because we're working on our target audience approach. We won't get through all the and won't discuss all slides. Don't be afraid. I just picked maybe the the best ones, I hope. Okay, so but first. One reminder, what are we talking about? We are talking about the Cyclone test that we started last summer. So there was €1 like a trial phase until the end of the year. And but it was mandatory to provide name, address, and gender and age. And we've since then spread that out. It is now our new normal or new default kind of term on every 12 websites. And this guy is Felix, our business analyst within the newsroom. I guess Greg, from time to time, he's sending you emails. So this is Felix, and last week he said it feels like finding gold. Right now, because the additional data, at least it feels right now for us, is pure gold. Maybe to let's have a look at maybe at this chart. So we do really see kind of geographical differences in Dortmund. So in different neighborhoods or different districts, our offering as it is right now is performing better than in other districts. And interestingly, we saw that it is performing well where there are people who are academics or who are in households where there is a university degree. Like we can spot those neighborhoods and we know where they are, blah, blah. And interestingly enough, our distribution is quite similar to that. So that is maybe a good predictor of where we maybe in the next steps are focusing our, let's say, marketing effort, because what we're doing, obviously product market fit is there better than in other places. So that's just one artifact, if you will. It's not a strategy, it's just one thing that we found out. Okay, so maybe this one is interesting. So the Cyclone was not only meant to provide data, but also, of course, we try to, ideally it should function in the market. And the bottom line is that we increased the sales by 70%, but also we had at least the first improvement in retention. So the blue line is kind of our old term, so our, let's say, our baseline. Last year it was €1 for 8 weeks, and only 42% of subscribers, they survived those trial period. And the Cyclone, €1 until the end of the year, 49% survived the trial phase. And keep in mind, 70%, there was a 70% increase in sales and this improvement in retention. We aim higher. Our goal is to be at 60%, but at least we see progress there. That led to a kind of doubling the number of Plus subscribers that we have in Dortmund. So at the beginning of last year, we were at 2,000, and then at almost 6. Now we're at 4,400. Greg?
This is just a question. Have you analyzed the impact on total revenue? Not on lifetime value, not on ARPU, but on total revenue. Because with an increase in sales by 70% and improvement in retention when you switch to the full rate, this should also be like money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So so let's look into the future because we all know what's going to happen. But if this retention curve is going to kind of decline the same way as the old one, after 12 months, we would end up with doubling the revenue. It seems that it is going down quicker or steeper right now. We are monitoring that very closely, but it will in any case have an impact and a positive impact on revenue.
So I got some fresh numbers from January.
Okay.
They are not published internally, but seem to be right. We increased the flood revenue by 44% January, so we made 450,000 euros compared to, I don't know, 300 in January 2025. So yeah, we can see it in our numbers that something's moving there.
Greg, I think we have to optimize the prices at this point because a lot of people went into a €4.90 a week offer after they quit the cyclone, and maybe we have to optimize that so that people who are ready for 490 are going into the 490 and the others are going to 190, 290, maybe 99 euros for a year or something else. We made the offers before they canceled. You see that on this slide, yeah, right? We made some offers for them before they canceled, and only nearly 5%, 4 to 5% took one of these offers. A lot of people went out and said after that it's too expensive for me, but they didn't use one of these offers. So maybe there's a communication optimization or maybe a price optimization, maybe both. But after that, you maybe have higher circulation and higher and an increase in revenue.
Yes, and we are kind of still analyzing this one and how if there is an impact on retention depending on who took what offer. But as you said, only 5% took it, so yeah, so the numbers are low. But for the first time, kind of in our history, we were able to tailor the offerings based on, in this case, the number of active days or engagement, and so we are learning that now how that works.
But what was a great thing is that 4% of them took a yearly offer. They took a yearly offer, so they took a 99 euro offer or something like that. So we have them for a year and can engage them. It's a cyclone 0.2, I would say.
Yeah. So kind of our first moves into that direction. Okay, so so we are improving. We're not there where it's not the silver bullet yet, but surprise, maybe never comes. So it's maybe a lot of
Is it fair to say we are halfway there? Is it fair to say?
I don't know. Halfway there.
Maybe not yet.
I don't know.
I said yes. Months later, not.
I tend to say yes, but it seems like this curve is going down steeper than expected. So we just need to iterate and iterate and iterate. But I guess we do have the deliverables. I guess we have everything in place to do that now. The marketing automation is there and everything, right?
But today I'm the man for the success messages. The marketing automation brought us 700 winbacks out of these cyclones. Winback also an offer like 49 euros or like 190 a week. So 700 people decided to come back out of winback, and that's a lot out of this marketing automation. We didn't have that before, and now we have 700 more.
Okay, so
they canceled. They were out.
Yeah, and they are not represented here.
No.
Here are only the people who stayed in the first place or who took a kind of retention offer beforehand. Okay.
Because they were offline. They didn't have a subscription anymore.
Okay.
Håkan.
Yeah, so, I mean that's very good news that you get so many backs. When we did churn reporting if we manage to get people back within, say, 2 weeks. We never reported that churners in a lot of the KPIs, because in reality, they didn't really churn when they were jumping back so fast.
Yeah, but we made something new. We gave them a news pass, like Greg, we talked about it when we met in Dortmund. A news pass. They can use they can use 2 articles a week for free. They can read them. And when they were activated, at the time they used 2 articles, we directly sent them a win-back offer. And when they were active, they took those win-back offers. Some took a €1 for 3 months, like a little small cyclone after the cyclone, but a few took also a higher priced offer. So that was a great learning for us. The key issue is to hold them for a longer time. Yeah.
All right. Don't worry, I'm not going to read that all, but the data, the nuggets, or the little nuggets, the wealth of data, we believe enables us now to consider or define our target audience. And to be honest, we never really did that before. And to summarize, so the bottom line is, for us, for different bunch of reasons, 30 to 50-year-olds seem to be a good combination of kind of, let's say, of market size in the population out there, and of the existing subscribers. And as we are not really not close to market saturation or what have you, so we're in the beginning, I guess it's a good idea to double down. Maybe first double down on the people that are already using us and staying and retaining. And I'll skip those. Oh, well, maybe this one, because it took me a long time to produce this chart. No. But I mean, we copied that from. This is cool. Yeah. Thank you. It's a copy from Schibsted at, I guess, Aftenposten. They try to visualize their TAM, total addressable market, and so I mean the numbers are, oh my God. So there are 600,000 people living in Dortmund. We do have 4,400 plus subscribers, and so people between the ages of 30 and 50, there are 170,000. I don't know. If we look at how many people, I mean, I guess in the Reuters Digital News Report, it says year after year that only 13% of people, of Germans, have paid for online news in the last year. That would be 65,000. So I don't know how to look at the total addressable market. We could look at how many people are speaking German in Dortmund, but it doesn't matter. I was just trying to make the point that we are in the first stage, but there are 100 stages above us. So this one is maybe more interesting, because now we can we know that from the 4,400 plus subscribers we have in Dortmund, so 25%, 1,100 are between 30 and 50 years old. Not many. So we're still talking about somehow small numbers. I know that, but we are not every day, but every other day, once a week, we talk about, with the newsroom, we talk about how we are performing in that target audience, and every day between 15 and the best day was 25%. We are able to, or they use our product. So it was like maybe 300 people of the 300 of the 1,100 people that we know have this are between 30 and 50 and they live in Dortmund. We had them in our projects on that day. So right now we are beginning to learn which stories and channels are particularly effective in reaching the target audience. It's just a beginning, and we're kind of looking at small data, and so that's why we're not kind of steering. Jens is not steering his newsroom on this data on a day-to-day or hour-to-hour basis, but we're trying to understand what we can do with the data, and and first patterns begin to emerge within that kind of target audience on preferences on the topics we talked about, or on the user needs we try to work on. And it's not finished yet, but there are many things maybe the same within the age group of 30 and 50, and if we divide it into men and women, but there are things that differ, and that's really interesting for us right now to dig into. So maybe as patterns, just on a high level, we see that within this age group, 30 to 40-year-olds convert better. So in other words, they are cheaper. They're cheaper for us to get. But 40 to 50-year-olds, they convert less, but they stay longer. And so we are right now digging into why. Why is that? And one reason is, or could be, that we really have a strong presence on Instagram, and we're really converting from Instagram, and we're converting like young people. And that's really easy and cheap for us, but they don't stay. So those are questions that begin to, arise now in a way, and in a data-informed way that we didn't have before. So that's really, really interesting for us. So gold nuggets, if you will. And there are big differences even within this target group, different segments. So if we look at the number of articles read in the first 28 days, we see that we perform best with men and with older men, quote unquote, in this group, and really we perform really poorly with women. Story of my life. No, I'm kidding. With young women, and it corresponds to the number of active days. So obviously we are doing something right for men between 40 and 50, and something wrong or not good enough for women between 30 and 40. At least that's what we are discussing right now. And it is now becoming clear that kind of the entire product, or each and every KPI that we now begin to get more data on, we are more popular with men than with women. Like in all retention or engagement KPIs, I know small numbers. We're at the beginning of this new, of this deeper work with data, if you will. But it's really interesting. And possible reasons. I mean, if we look at our Dortmund, our local newsroom, 70% are men. And then we analyzed the stories, the articles, and we tend to report, twice. There are twice as many male people, male names, male protagonists in our stories than female protagonists. I mean, the mayor of Dortmund, he's a man. We can't change that. But if we are searching for, if we are looking for protagonists, I guess we have a bias. I think we have a bias, or at least we should be aware that the market is 50-50 out there. Let's put it this way. In addition, it's not in our Dortmund newsroom, but in other newsrooms, of course, we have a strong presence. We have a strong reporting on football, Borussia Dortmund, on local football. This is also very, very male. Let's put it this way. So I believe, or we think, or data emerges that we are really, maybe we've optimized the stuff for men. I mean, we are all men here, and we really are maybe doing a bad job for women. So yeah, so this thought is not finished. You can see that or you can hear that, but that's what we are digging into right now, and it's really, really interesting for us.
When you asked how we work with data and what we make out of it, is Philip maybe giving one perspective on that or an answer that helps you?
Yes, this is one perspective in terms of exploration, which is great. And then the question I had was more in how you leverage data or findings in the newsroom. Now, of course, this is kind of like still exploratory phase. And then so the follow-up question is, okay, when you have come to some conclusions here and maybe come up with some guidelines of what to write about or how to write about different things, then of course you need to use that in the newsroom to measure it so they actually deliver on it, and then you can show if that actually had a positive result by doing it. But of course you need to do this before you do the next phase.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it does, and I think we're getting there right now, and we're not far away from that next phase. But let me just show you one or two more slides, and then it would be fantastic to get your reaction or your thoughts on if that makes sense or if it's completely off track. So, and of course, new questions arise, and I would like to. It was really funny. Thanks, because last week I jumped on your INMA webinar, Greg, and was able. I just got the information that we are converting better with younger readers, but retaining older readers better. And this, what is he, Robert Strop, a subscription and retention guru, maybe. So he said, yeah, maybe you have a marketing versus product mismatch. Maybe your marketing is great, but the product doesn't meet the expectations. Who knows? But the thing he said is what to do about it. I mean, he said, I mean, everyone on your call, Greg, wants to be readers first. So I guess that's his claim. Just start to talk to your subscribers. So why doesn't everyone in your team have conversations with 5 subscribers each week? And he said, I promise you, after 4 weeks, you'll be a totally different human being, and you and your team just know so much more about people, about your subscribers. And what we're going to do, it's maybe a fun fact, tomorrow we'll rewatch the webinar with the whole POC team. And so maybe we're doing that next week. I don't know, but that's, yeah, that was really, really interesting. And so it's just an example of new questions that start to come up. Okay, so no, this one. So just bottom line, our approach at a glance. So it seems for us that 30 to 50-year-old seem to be a good target group, and to segment them by age and gender, and that's it. Not more, that's it. And it just feels right, like the right combination, kind of narrow enough to give us a new focus, because we even didn't have the 30 to 50 thing, but in the same time broad enough to enable us to kind of improve in a targeted manner. So yeah, and we are just putting final touches on right now on our target audience approach, and of course, what are we going to do about it, or what do we want to do about it? Of course, it must inform the newsroom, and we have to, work with our editors and reporters, yeah, on how we reach those people. But of course, it's a 360 thing. Marketing and sales and product needs to then work with that approach as well. So if we know which topics are for example, performing well or badly, that should somehow inform our personalization effort and everything. So yeah, that's what we are just doing right now. So from the cyclone to this target audience approach, and we only have 4 minutes left, but I'd like to get your feedback now or afterwards, because yeah, it really feels like we're getting somewhere. Greg, please.
Just one thought. You assume that your organizational setup, contents of the articles, and readers will have the same kind of the same mix, and that this mix is, you know, like proven to drive sales or something. This is just a consideration that you might want to have a, I don't know, gender parity or age parity just because you believe it's the right thing to do. Having said that, it might not be necessarily the best idea, I don't know, when you do marketing to use, I don't know, age or gender for targeting, because there might be some other signals much stronger, like whether somebody is educated or whether somebody is reading about politics or, you know, something else. This is just, you know, like I think it's a useful thing to consider. I think it is useful when you think about diversity of your content and your staff and so on and so on. But don't assume that, you know, at every level, like product, marketing, you will have the same strength of a signal in a way. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think when Aftenposten presented these in Amsterdam, they said that they focus on young females, and that they had a growth in also older men groups out of this content. And they were surprised of that. So they made a new target group and grew in another.
They never heard about Epstein, probably.
Yeah.
Never had what?
Epstein.
Epstein, yeah, right. Maybe. Yeah. So that could be a trap that we maybe run into, or that we should be aware of. Thanks. Yeah, that's good input. Yeah. Håkon.
So I am having teaching a course next week to a group of librarians. And one of the things I'm saying there is, when you're going to start communicating, don't think about demographics like age or gender. Because you need to think about what type of jobs you want your consumers to buy from you. Mm-hmm. Meaning, so I think it's very, so to take a step back, I think it's very good to have using this framework, but you really have to ask yourself, you really have to talk with them what type of topics and what type of angles you need for communicating to women. You can't really have this blank sheet. Of course, you need to have the analysis to say what you need to write more about. And the other thing, Greg has probably more data than me on this, but you're probably never going to get a 50-50 split between men and women. You're probably going to have always a slightly shift towards men. But I don't have data for the last 2 years if that's changing. But it's still a great metrics to go after, to have X number of articles per these 4 boxes, I think. But the focus has to be, of course, more for the journalists. What does that really mean? Yeah.
Okay, so if I got you right, so the question is the jobs to be done thing, right? So
yeah.
So the methodology, if we say, okay, it's this age group and those 4 segments, then what job do we have to? What job do those people in buying our product need to be done? I guess that's the right way to phrase it. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we really need a 50-50, balance, but at least for the first time we know that stuff, and we are beginning to reflect on that, and so that at least feels new and feels like gold nuggets.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you will probably see the same as was mentioned here in that Norwegian newspaper. It's like when you write for young people, you're always going to have the grandparents read the same things, right? So it's always a great focus to actually think young, and then you will automatically get the old video.
Let me give you an example from INMA. So, the gender actually depends on region of the world and seniority. If you have a conference for CEOs, there is many more men than women. If you have a conference in Asia, there is many more men in senior roles than women. Yeah? So basically, composition of our events that are for like lower level employees will be more feminine and younger than composition of events for CEOs. But does it mean that when I'm programming, I don't know, Toronto, conference, that I should just have 80% men from Europe just because this is my composition of my market? Our board actually made the decision we should be 50-50. And that's an ideological decision. It's not really market decision. Market would support probably men and would be happy with it. And actually signing up female speakers is a pain in the ass because they are the more likely to cancel because they have more like work-life roles in their lives than men speakers. So you actually need to start with them because there will be more cancellations in my experience from female speakers than from male. So, well, this is just to say, like, market is one thing, your sales is one thing. There might be other kind of attributes that are more decisive, but you still may wish to do it just because you think it's the right thing to do. Like, for example, we have a conference that is like European conference, Media Innovation Week, and we made a decision to make it younger. And it means we are inviting people who are not very senior to speak. And they require more work because they don't know what to talk about. For example, one innovation we needed to introduce is shorter presentations because we discovered they don't have enough to say for a 20 minutes presentation.
Right.
Yeah. So it's better to have 10 minutes presentations. Yeah? But this way we could create a conference that is younger, feels younger, is more energetic, but it also more junior and it affects your pricing and so on. So this is just to say, like, you need to know it and you may decide you want to have young ladies, 30 to 40-year-olds. I'm pretty sure they are lovely and they should be on pictures, in articles and in the newsroom. Having said that, your sales might still be skewed towards men and maybe older and maybe whatever. And that's fine.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. That real world example helps.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I am teaching in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to get going.
Yes, we are also past our.
Yeah,
Right, so we skipped the e-paper part, as I mentioned at the beginning. Guys, thank you so much for your energy, for your remarks, for your ideas. Yeah, you saw we made some progress, at least some progress. Yeah. Okay. So 22 months left to meet our North Stars. Let's keep the momentum going, and let's stay bold, right? Okay, guys, take care. See you sooner or later. Was a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.